Hello everyone. I hope all my viewers over here today are keeping safe and all your families are fine. Welcome to another YouTube live session here at the Asian College of Teachers. My name is Debalina and I am one of the trainers here at this esteemed institute. And today we are going to talk about a very important, yet at the same time it's quite sensitive topic. It's about how you are going to perfect your pronunciation. Okay, so when we talk about perfecting your pronunciation, let me tell you, it is not something that can be done over a crash course. Okay, you can sign up for hundreds of classes. You can sign up for so many available pre-recorded classes online. You can take up classes offline in class, and there will be so many tips and advices over the YouTube and other online resources. But it's always you who has to help yourself to perfect your pronunciation. All right, so now let's talk about a few things that you can do. It can be your personal practice. It can be something that you can adopt. You can invest at least 15 to 20 minutes every day. I do not think that's a lot to ask for. Okay, so let's talk about the basic. All right, the first point. Now, there are different styles of speaking in that same language. I mean, it can be even the language that you speak. It differs from one area to another, one state to another, one neighborhood to another neighborhood. Okay. Now, broadly speaking, when we talk about the native countries, now every native country, every English-speaking native country has got their own style of speaking. All right, and usually what I have seen, all the students or whoever wants to perfect their pronunciation, they kind of look at the two the popular pronunciation of the speaking styles, that is the American style or the British style. Now again, you should always remember that be it British, be it American, they also have their own regional influences. All right. Now, when we talk about different styles of speaking English language, what I mean is whatever comes to you very easily. Whatever sound system, whatever intonation, whatever stress and other features of pronunciation comes easy to you, you should kind of follow those, or kind of really practice along those features, or along those features of that particular style of speaking the language. All right, like for example, it's a very basic example, even you know it, like American sound has, Americans kind of have that whole R thing very harsh, like it's very pronounced. So if you think you can roll your tongue and pronounce that R in those places, and you can follow the American style of speaking, you can always go ahead and do that. All right, so I think it's a very wise and very basic decision one should take when you plan to perfect your pronunciation. What is that one style of speaking that you would really like to adopt for yourself? All right. So once you have made up your mind, and then you do a little study, okay, homework. All right, we need to do a lot of homework. We need to do a lot of research. It might sound like something like, okay, that's a lot of things. I do not want to do it. But if you really have to perfect your pronunciation, if you really have to, if you are looking for a teaching job, if you are looking for an upgrade in your personality when it comes to a different job sector that you are looking at, where they want you to speak with a near native tone or the near native style, you have to take these important measures. Now, once you have picked up your style of speaking, the next thing is no referencing to your language. All right, so it's a very prominent issue in a bilingual culture or a multilingual culture where we speak more than one language, and we try to refer to the sound system of the language that we are most comfortable in, and most of the time it's our native language or the parent language. So now the problem that happens is that sound system is very different from the English language, all right, the sound system of the English language. So when you're trying to learn a particular sound, like for example the V sound, the V sound that you can find in vulture, victory, van, yeah. Now you might not have that particular sound in your native language, and what you are trying to do is you are trying to find the closest reference in your language and try to kind of transfer that sound of English into your native way. And this is the place where most of the people kind of really struggle. And this is what is like, you know, the whole regional influence that you bring upon yourself. Yeah. So you are not going to take references from your native language, the sound system of your native language, and try to put that into the sound system that you are trying to master, the English language in this case. All right. So that's our second point. Now, moving on to the third point, if you carefully think about learning a language, when we talk about the language learning skills, there are 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. All right, so we are going to first look at, because we are talking about pronunciation over here, we are going to focus on listening and speaking. All right, we speak a lot. Right? We love to speak, we love to give advices, we love to give suggestions, we love to voice out our opinions. We kind of love to be out there and make people feel our presence. Okay, but in that whole process, what we do not do is receptive listening. All right, listening is a skill, people. You have to receive the informations properly, okay? It is a receptive skill. You have to receive information and try to understand that, and then based on what you listen or hear, you have to respond. It's a connected process. All right? So listening is a skill. So use that skill to the best of your abilities. So when you are listening to your favorite actor talking in that movie, okay, like for example maybe Tom Cruise or Zac Efron for the younger generation, yeah. So when you are listening to them, listen to how they are talking. Okay, when you listen to how they're talking, you can understand the minute details of what really makes them sound very different from you. It's not about the accent. It is never about the accent. It is always about how the sounds are articulated. Okay, how you are using your speech organs and producing the sounds. All right. So listen very carefully how they are producing that sound. All right. When you listen to it, this brings us to the next step. That is your articulation. How you are making the sound with the help of your speech organs. All right. So now let me give you a trivia over here. English is a very airy language. It takes in and leaves a lot of air. Okay, it sounds very funny, but that's how the language works. All right. So a lot of times you would see the native languages. If I talk about India, we do not really have to open our mouth a lot. All the Indian languages, majorly, we do not really have to open our mouth. We do not have to move our jaws like you see right now. To me, what's happening, I'm trying to move my mouth wide open and doing all these gestures over here, right? So we do not really have a language in India so distinctly enough that we have to move our mouth so much. All right. So in that process, what happens is we do not really take in or leave a lot of air while we are doing a conversation. All right. But be it an English from America, be it the type of English from Britain, be it Australia, New Zealand, anywhere, they use a lot of air. Okay. So that air kind of helps you to understand how much you are going to, how louder or how harsh or how deep each sound should be. All right, so that takes us to that articulation part, even I would say into a little deeper into the whole articulation game plan. Okay, I like to call it the game plan because it's kind of like, you level up yourself when it comes to your understanding how you're going to move your mouth. Okay, and then when you have understood that you have to take in and leave a lot of air, what you have to do is you listen at the same time you're listening to Zac Efron or Tom Cruise. Okay, take one word at a time. Okay, see how that sound is like, how did they produce that sound? Like, for example, they say a word love. Okay, it's a word that we all love. So they say love. Okay, so take that word, rewind, listen, pause, rewind, listen, pause. So understand how they're saying it, and then you say it, love. Okay, love. You say that, and then try to compare. Do you kind of sound like Tom Cruise or Zac Efron? Are you like, it's not about like, the style, the accent. It's very superficial. It's like, from the surface you're listening to it, but are you making that like, the mouth, like, when it goes love? Do you have these two bunny teeth that you have? Is it touching the lower lip? Yeah. So if it is not happening like that, that means there is a problem. Okay, and these are very minute particulars that you need to take care of when you perfect your pronunciation. It is, again, I would repeat, it is never about the accent. It's always about how you're using the mouth and your other speech organs to produce a particular sound, and you're stitching all the sounds together, and yeah, you got your words, and then when you have put it all in your place, you have the communication all smooth. Now, when you are doing this whole articulation practice, I can give you two ways to do that. First is, of course, the mirror work. You look at yourself in the mirror, okay, and try to see, like, when you say love, how like, how wide does your mouth open, where you are putting your tongue inside your mouth, okay, and then, like, where does the teeth go, where does the lips go, and so just be very observant of your mouth and do a little bit of mirror work. All right. So after you're done with your mirror work, the next thing that you can do is you can keep these two fingers on your mouth like this, like when you do shh, shh, yeah. So like that, you're going to put two fingers like that, and then say love. Okay, love, and try to see, like, how your mouth is actually moving. Okay, how your lips are touching your two fingers. All right, so these are two ways that you can practice articulation for yourself. But of course, before that, you have to listen very carefully. Listen to the words that you are trying to perfect. Okay, not all the time you would see that you would really like to perfect your pronunciation on a whole. Not every time you would see, like, maybe on an average you have a very good flow in communication, and there are a few words where you really make errors. All right, so that makes it even easier. So you take up only those particular words, listen to people speaking. All right, and then, of course, YouTube is, like, the biggest source right now, so you can just open any video where people are speaking and you get to hear that word. So pause, and then, like, speak, then listen, again, rewind, pause, listen, the whole process. And once you have got the idea of how the sound comes out, you can go do your mirror work and the finger touch. All right, okay. So after articulation, another thing that I can tell you would be how you are placing your tongue. okay, when you pronounce something. So when you pronounce something, your tongue does a very vital role inside your mouth, okay? It sounds funny, but when you are saying certain words, okay, like, okay, let me take a word. I say dice, all right? Dice. All right, dice, the cube, dice, all right? So when I say dice, you see how your tongue will actually spread out, okay? But when I say mice, all right? When I'm saying mice, the tongue is spreading out, but also at the same time, a lot is depending on how I widen my lips, okay? Mice, yeah? Dice, when I say it, it's not so much spread out. So obviously, how much the tongue is spreading out while you are saying each word should also be taken into consideration. All right, and let me give you a trivia. So we have 5 vowels. So each vowel, you know, they kind of use different sides of your tongue, and they produce the sounds, okay? And if you really carefully look at a vowel chart, which is available online, it will resemble the tongue. So your vowels depend on your tongue, and all the vowels, of course, you would know that it's a very vital, like, you know, letters like, you know, to create words, right? So to get your vowels correct, to get your vowel sounds correct, you have to understand how your tongue is getting placed each time. Now, when you have leveled up on your game plan, as we talked about, there are a few more things that you can do. There are 2 things, stress and tongue twisters. All right, so let's look at the tongue twisters first. Okay, now there is a very famous tongue twister. She sells seashells on the seashore. All right, now depending on how you refer to your native language, a lot of times you would see it becomes very difficult for you to actually pronounce the s and the sh, these 2 sounds together simultaneously. Okay, now what you have to do to perfect your pronunciation is you have to kind of have your own bank of tongue twisters like that. Okay, and how does it help? It is helping you to control your breathing, control how you are taking in and leaving the air, and also at the same time you are simultaneously kind of juggling those sounds in your mouth. You know, when you are juggling those sounds in your mouth, you're playing around with your like, you know, your speech organs. Your speech organs are kind of getting used to these sounds and how to move to produce those sounds, how to articulate. All right, so the more you do practice of tongue twisters, the more likely to you would be able to grasp those very minute details of sounds and how to put them together and have a smooth flow when it comes to communication, or just like, you know, feeling cool around people that, hey, I can like, you know, say the tongue twister like pretty much better than all of you. Yeah, so that's your first one. And now, when we talk about stress, stress is very, I wouldn't say that everybody would know it, you know. You have to really understand that how, I mean, it's funny, but that's how the language works. I mean, when I say content, it means the information, and when I say content, that means that state of feeling satisfied. Yeah. So when we have the stress on the first part, it has a different meaning. When I have the same word but I have a stress on the second part, you would have a different meaning to that. Okay. So learn the stress. All right. Learn how you're going to stress on which part of the word and how it is going to give a different meaning. Now, you might question that, how does it even matter? Of course it matters. If you were talking to a person who knows English like a native, or if you were talking to a native speaker, okay, then there will be a definite problem, right? Because I want to say I'm content, but I say I'm content. Yeah, so you cannot be an information. but you can be content. You can be satisfied with something, maybe. Yeah. So learn your stress. So stress and tongue twisters, if you kind of level up on the articulation, then you can take up these 2 exercises for yourself, and that would really help you to perfect your pronunciation, and also it really boosts your confidence when you are talking to a few people around you. All right, and now we are on the final level of our game plan. All right, so over here we are going to assign ourselves some tasks. All right, what is the first task? Is you must have your favorite shows to watch, right? Mine is Friends. Okay, you might have a different show to watch. Now, whenever you listen to your favorite character or you are watching that show, write down. All right, so pace up your writing skills. Whatever you hear or listen, whatever. Yeah, if you know the dialogues very well, you would know what to expect, what is coming up after each set of episodes. Okay, so whenever the characters are talking, you listen to it. You do not have to look at them. Okay, write it down. Go on writing it. Okay, when you write it, you know what happens is you are kind of exercising your mind to understand whatever the other person is saying. Okay, because a lot of times when you are trying to perfect your pronunciation, or whenever you hear somebody talking in a different way than yours, you are focused more on understanding what this person is talking about rather than enjoying or finding meaning in that. Okay, and so the result that happens most of the time is you will have one eye on your actors and the shows and one eye on the subtitle. Okay, now to avoid that, you can, while you watch those repeated episodes, okay, you can write down whatever the characters are saying, whatever the dialogues are. So when you write it down, it's kind of like you were simultaneously listening and writing. So you are exercising 2 skills now at the same time. Okay, and then read it out loud. Now, I'm not saying that you have to really bother your neighbors or people around your house, but you can read it out loud to yourself. Okay, listen to yourself. Listen how you are saying it. Okay, listen to each of the dialogues. Are you able to put the right kind of expression in each of the dialogues? Are you able to talk just like how that character spoke, with that right kind of emotion for each sentence, or question, or whatever is the dialogue? Okay, that brings us to a very important part of one of the features of good pronunciation and good communication, and that is intonation. All right, so how you are bringing in that whole intonation, your whole style of showing that emotion behind each sentence, each dialogue, each question, all right, is also a very important part, because that also kind of connects to the stress. Because when you perfect your pronunciation, you obviously know where to stress, which part of the word to stress. And when you know which part of the word to stress, you would also know your sentences. For example, I love to bake. I love to bake. I love to bake. I love to bake. Yeah. So now each stress. Now I'm trying to tell you in a very specific way, that's why the stresses are harsh, or I'm trying to really stress on each word. But when you are communicating with people, when you are interacting with people, even you do the same thing in your language as well. We all have stress in the sentences that we speak. All right, to kind of convey that meaning that I love to bake. Over here, the stress is I want to say that I, the person, me, I love baking. Okay, so like that, when we have taken care of the stress, it also takes care of our intonations, where at times you would see that you can speak perfectly, okay? Your English is perfect 10 on 10. However, when you're speaking in that language, at times people do feel that maybe you sound a lot like how you would speak your native language. Okay, that tone, because that tone is very important and it's significantly different in each and every language. Okay, majorly. I will not say like, all languages have very different intonations, all right? But if you compare English, maybe when you try to compare your native language and with English, you will see that the intonations, the how you are singing out the words, that's very different. All right, so you take care of your intonations like that. So listen to your favorite characters and write, and then you read it out loud. And then when you read it out loud, you record that. You record your whatever you have written down from the series. Okay, once you record yourself, and then you listen to your the episode and try to compare it again. Okay, so if you remember in the initial period of the video that we have right now over here, I said to record and compare words, right? And now we have moved to sentences and dialogues. All right, so this is how we are going to master or perfect the pronunciation. And then another thing, which is, I would say, it is something very mental, something that is like, a mental exercise that is not many people would love to do that. And I'm sure like, with technology, we have partially or almost forgotten the art of writing. Okay, so writing is a very good exercise to perfect your pronunciation. Now, you might not believe it, but let me break it down, the whole process, okay? You take a piece of paper or a diary, okay, and you write down, thank you, God, for everything, or thank you, universe, for everything. And then you are writing on, so today I really hope to, finish off all the pending works that I have. And I'm looking forward to the lunch because I'm going to eat my favorite ramen, yeah. So you just write down something like that, okay? You write that in the morning. Why? Because you have just woken up. You do not really have so much going on in your head, okay? A fresh mind, and you journal, okay? When you are journaling in English language, you are trying to think in English, okay? You are trying to visualize your day, and that you are transferring the words into English language. Okay, when you write that down, that's your personal thing. So anything there where we have a lot of personal reference, a personal relevance, it helps us to kind of learn something faster. Okay, it is always proven. So that's why, teachers would like to localize things and teach so that learners learn faster. Okay, the same thing that you can do for yourself. You can be your own teacher to perfect your pronunciation. Write down your thoughts and then read it out. Okay, it's a very effective one, but again, it's up to you. It is a suggestion, and I have seen whoever I have suggested this thing, they have really improved on their pronunciation, because when you start thinking in English, when you are visualizing something and then you are trying to transform those thoughts into English language, and then you read that out, that's your personal thought, so it's really close to your heart, So when you read that out, and when you have got your 3 game plans, your articulation, your intonation, and tongue twisters, and all of the things that we have just talked about, okay, it is automatically taken care of. All right, so journaling is something that I will not say that it's a final thing that you would do, but you can start off from the very initial stages of when you decide to perfect your pronunciation. Journaling is something that is very effective. Okay, and it's always better to write down your thoughts. You know, when you look back into it, it will also give you that whole win-win moments in your life. That was the page where I had written about those struggles, and I was trying to read that out, and I pronounced that wrong, and I tried to correct myself. And in this page, I remember that I really improved my pronunciation. You know, so it just gives you a whole, I would say, a very spiritual experience to, like, you know, perfecting your pronunciation. But other than that, when I talk about perfecting your pronunciation, all the tips, all the game plan that I gave it to you, try it for yourself, and I definitely think that you would really shine and perfect your pronunciation in, I would not say, like, you know, you will not need any crash course for that, and you can improve it by yourself. All right, so if you think that you have liked the video, please do not forget to like it, of course, and share it on your social media handle, share it with your friends, and if you have any questions, you can always comment down below, and we will be happy to answer that. All right, and stay in touch, and please stay safe. All right, bye-bye.